Oh my goodness. All right. I just got done watching the Nate the Lawyer video responding to that white guy lawyer and the lead attorney. Now, obviously, I know a little bit about law, but I'm not a lawyer. I haven't passed the bar. I'm not as versed in law as obviously Nate the lawyer and lead attorney who are practicing lawyers. So I'm just going to give my take on kind of what Nate the lawyer, Nate the attorney, Nate the lawyer was saying. I'm not gonna react to the video directly. You can go see it because this is all in reaction to the black guy who got pulled over in Florida, William something. I commented on myself, or I made a video about it myself earlier. So, I said, you should go watch the lead attorney's video. And Nate the lawyer responded to that video talking about how like lead attorney was wrong. And so was the other white guy. I'm not sure if the white guy's an attorney or a legal expert or not. But nonetheless, Nate the lawyer responded to him. And the biggest area of contention amongst all three of them, and Officer Brandon Tatum, Nate the lawyer responded to him too, mainly saying he was right in his assessment. But I'm making this video um, not to comment on the legal aspect of it, but just something I noticed about Nate the lawyer and Brandon Tatum is that both of these guys have very conservative white audiences, and it's really hard for me, especially Nate the lawyer. I've already been told that Brandon Tatum's a coon and this, that, and the other, and I've seen the evidence of it. And again, Officer Tatum's obviously a former cop, so I get his view of things, and I understand his view of things. But what really gets me is Nate the lawyer. He's always like, oh, we just discussed the facts, and we just discussed this, and we only, we don't get our emotions involved in it, and there's no bias here, and that's not true, right? Like Nate the lawyer is biased, and so is Officer Tatum, because they're pandering to their overly conservative white audience, and I noticed Nate the lawyer was wrong about a lot of stuff in the Ahmaud Arbery case. That's actually the case that a friend of mine told me to look at. They're like, hey, there's this guy named Nate the lawyer. You should check him out. It was a white guy. He's like, Nate the attorney. He's black too, so he can, offer some non-biased legal advice. Since he's black too. And I've told this particular white friend, not directly. It was kind of like in a group conversation, but I brought up the fact of how black, like there is a segment of the black population that panders to white people, right? Like there's not really objectivity. It's like, oh no, I'm gonna say what the white people say so that I can be in their good graces for any number of reasons, right? Thomas Sowell, he's an academic, so he toes white people talking points so he can still go to the academic luncheons and get and be not certified. He's already certified in a great number of things, but so he can get his little book deals and speaking tours, or just not have his YouTube channel blocked for saying controversial things. So he toes the party line. So I got into a conversation once about the economics of why the black community looks the way that it does, and someone was like, "Well, how come black people don't do what someone like a Thomas Sowell would say?" Right? And I had to break it down to him. Like, Thomas Sowell knows about the problems of the black community because he has a PhD in economics, but he's not going to do it because then he's not going to get invited to the luncheons. He's not going to get his book. He's not going to get the book deals. He's not going to get anything. Right, because Thomas Sowell's like pushing 90 years old, so he has seen how the white power structure treats black people who tell too much of the truth, right? Because the fact of the matter is, it's like white people have economically shut out black people, which is why black people are in such poverty, and because they've shut black people out for so long. There's certain things that have now just become cultural in black society. So now it's like, I'll say it's not. I don't want to say. Let me get this out. I don't want to say it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, But a lot of things are kind of just on autopilot now due to the fact that, black people have been put in a position of poverty for so long by the white oligarchs that, like, they really don't need to sit here and trip up black people like they used to. Like, they don't have to actively do it now. You got black people, doing it to themselves, which is, what they hide behind. Like, oh, black people have always done it to themselves. There's no racism. It's like, no, the racism was from 1865 to like the 1990s, right? And then now you're trying to make it sound like black people have always been dealing drugs and listening to gangster rap and having their pants sagging and not wanting to invest in this, that, and the other, and going to, rob a convenience store versus college. Like, no, like that's not what happened. But anyway, not to get too far off topic, but nonetheless, there's a lot of people who, a lot of black people who still toe the party line because they want to be accepted by the upper white circles who only who only keep you in their good graces when you espouse their talking points. And Nate the lawyer is one of them. Again, I learned this in the Ahmaud Arbery trial. Like, just listening to him talk about like, oh, like Ahmaud Arbery, he shouldn't have been in the construction site and why was he there and blah 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 blah. But it's like, okay, but other people are in the construction site too. So why is he being segregated out? And it's like, oh well, he was suspicious. It's like, so are the other people. They're suspicious too. Like, again, if the whole thing is why are you in the construction site, then why are other people in the construction site when they also had no business being there? You know what I mean? But it's like, but it's bad when Ahmaud Arbery does it. Like that white couple who was there, no questions asked. There's a couple of other people who walked in there, no questions asked. You had kids who were there, multiple days, who actually stole something, and they try to sit there and say Ahmaud stole stuff when it was actually the kids, and those incidences were weeks apart, right? It's like, it's just like, oh, okay. So it's like, yeah, it's like he's just espousing the talking points because he has that conservative audience that's black people are always troublemakers, right? So he does that, and Officer Tatum does the same thing. But anyway, not to get not to berate the point, but it was just interesting listening to Nate the lawyer's video because he was talking about all of this stuff and talking about how lead attorney was wrong. And going back to one of the original points I'm making in this video is that they had the point of during the rain, like, was this guy pulled over during the rain? And Nate keeps talking about how he was pulled up, like clearly it was raining when the guy was pulled over. And it's like, it wasn't raining when he was pulled over, but it may have been raining at the time the officer saw him going without his headlights, right? Because for those of you who don't know, well, I'm just going to assume that everybody knows what I'm talking about right now. I'm sorry. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look it up. It's the video I reacted to with the guy who got pulled over by the police. It's that video. I think I already said that. Anyway. But yeah, like he talked about like it's during the rain. And Nate the lawyer was like, no, it's not during the rain, it's during inclement weather. But lead attorney already said this, like, no, like, the legislator says, it's if this legislator wanted to be inclement weather, they would have put in their inclement weather. And they had this back and forth about the spirit of the law. Like, I mean, they didn't debate each other, but I could just tell that, if they're in the same room together, they go back and forth about that, which is kind of something I want at this point. Because looking at everybody's testimony and, Tatum getting called out by lead attorney and wrecked, and then Nate the lawyer calling out lead attorney, and then I don't think lead attorney is going to call out Nate the lawyer or anything, but it's just like there's like this like whole little response video without directly responding to these guys. Although Nate the lawyer did tag that one white guy and lead attorney in his latest video, but I don't want to directly react to that video like I did the other one. But all that I say all that just to say is like I just find it interesting that of all the people in this conversation, lead attorney really is the more objective and the more reasonable one. Now again, I'm not a case lawyer or trial lawyer or anything else like that. But if you want to sit here and make an argument, I still think lead attorney has the best argument. Although Nate did bring up a lot of good legal points, because he did say, it doesn't have to be raining during the time in which the officer pulls you over. Because like if it's raining, then the officer, hits the lights and drives to go pull you over, then it stops raining and then he pulls you over. It's like, yeah, it's not raining at that current moment, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't raining when we pulled her over, right? Now, I have listened to other court cases about things of this nature, and the fact of the matter is that if you're gonna go by strict letter of the law, then the officer has to prove that when he saw the guy first roll by, and this can be proven by dash cam, that it was raining during the time he did not have his lights on. Like, I think the police body cam and the car dash cam would prove that, but that's never been brought up. But lead attorney is correct in the sense of the law does say during the rain, not after, not before, not retroactively. It's during the rain. And Nate was like, no, that's not the case. And lead attorney's, again, his whole point was that an officer could pull you over, and it has to be raining because he has to do it in live time. And Nate said that it wasn't, and it's like, okay, whatever. But I'd like to see them go back and forth in live time, like an actual live debate, because I already know that a lot of people are going to take Nate the lawyer's side because they want this black guy to be guilty, right? And again, that's the elephant in the room with all of this, is that people want this guy to be guilty, like, and by guilty I mean deserving of basically getting his ass whooped by the police. That's what I mean by guilty. They want him to be 100% unquestionably guilty of that. And the problem is that he isn't, and people don't like that, and there's legal precedent as to why he isn't. And lead attorney, I'm sorry, people can say what they want to say, but lead attorney is absolutely right on that. Because when you look at other situations and other circumstances, it's like you do have other people who are, not getting that same treatment who've done worse, right? So you already got legal precedent of this in the sense that other people have done this and nothing was done to this extent, and this kind of energy wasn't given by police officers. And again, I'm pretty sure that's what if this does go to trial, which I don't know why it would, but if it does go to some sort of trial or this does become an incident, I'm pretty sure that'll be brought up by the defense attorney for the black guy. But I don't know if it probably will be defense attorney be prosecuting because he'll probably press charges against the state, but or city. But anyway, you get my point. So it'd just be interesting if we could get like Nate the lawyer and lead attorney to actually like sit down and really debate this point. Because again, they're both practicing attorneys, so I don't know if they'd even have time to do it, but it would be nice to see them really go back and forth and actually get their ducks in a row. Because Nate talked about like, lead attorney didn't cite case law, but then he did respond to word somewhere he did cite case law, and it's just like, all right, this is getting deeper than what it really has to be. Fact of the matter is that legally speaking, the guy did not deserve to be, handled like that by police, considering the level of threat that he portrayed himself to be. And that's the part that nobody really wants to address or talk about. And I think that's a travesty, because it's like, no, we need to flesh this out. And especially since Nate the lawyer is one of those, there's no such thing as racism, or there is, but every time you show me an example of it, I'm gonna deny that that's what it is. It's like, yeah, it's because your audience is that, it's not racist unless the N-word is used while a white man is riding on horseback wearing a Ku Klux Klan outfit. That's like the only way it would be considered racism. Like if he did something then and he's the N-word, okay, yeah, it was racist. But if it doesn't fit those three things, bonus points if you burn a cross on their front lawn. If it doesn't fit those, few things, then it doesn't count as racism. It's like, and that's Nate's audience. So that's why all of his videos where it's like, a black person will sit here and get whooped, and it's absolutely undeniable it had racial connotations to it. Nate won't say nothing about it. Right? But if it's sketchy or if it's on the line, then yeah, Nate will come there and be like, well, no, maybe, the officer may have had racial, may have racial bias, but that's definitely not the case here, even if it was. And it's like, oh, all right, man. Right? And lead attorney, he's not one of those race baiters either. But at the same time, he'll be like, yeah, there's clearly racial bias here due to this. But legally speaking, they are in the right for X, Y, and Z. And that's why like his analysis on this case is because lead attorney was right. He's like, you really had no legal standing to pull him over for his headlights. He's like, now the seatbelt? Oh yeah, absolutely, right? Justifiable stop. He's like, should this guy have reacted that way to the police, giving him a lawful order? Oh, absolutely not. It's like, exactly. That's the whole thing. It's like did the guy, make things worse for himself under his own fruition? Oh yeah, absolutely. But should the cops have handled it like that? Absolutely not. And I don't understand why people can't look at that like, you know, yeah, his interaction with the cops was more hostile than it should have been due to his own actions, but that also doesn't give that also just doesn't give, license to open season up on this dude's face and neck, you know, when you pull him out the car, right? And it's just like, all right, you know, um, but yeah, I just want to give my little 2 cents on that. I am still kind of following this. I don't know if I'll follow this case. I really don't find it that interesting because of the fact that the guy did make life harder on him by, it's like, let me talk to your supervisor. Let me talk to your supervisor. What's that gonna do? Okay, supervisor shows up and then tells you to get out of the car. Now you're gonna do it? Yes or no? Right? So it's like, what are we really discussing here? Right? Especially, I ain't gonna lie. I like what that one officer said when he was like, he said, "Yeah, step out of the car and I'll read you the law." Like, sorry, I'm sorry. That actually got me. I was just like, yeah, as soon as you step out of that car, you go get that billy club to the back of the neck. It's like, but that was funny though. He said that. He's like, yeah, step out of the car. He's like, I'll show you the law. It's like, he's like, yeah, show you the law, the long arm of the law. That's what that's gonna be about. But anyway, this is just a little commentary and a little rant kind of video I wanted to do about it. Just to really show, like, we still have racial bias in this country, and this is what it is, right? Because like that's one thing that frustrates me about certain demographic of white people. They always like, show me the racism, show me the racism. And we show it to them, and it's like, that's not racism. It's like, this is literally racism. Like what is racism? It's just like, I don't see a Klan outfit. I didn't hear the N word. I don't see them burning a cross on anyone's lawn. And it's just like, okay, so you think that's the only example of racism? It's like, okay. But as someone once said, it's like, we're not going to get any objectivity with the dominant society when you're black. And that's a damn shame. And again, like, this is actually another incident where it's like, you talk about segregation and people are just like, no, we can't have segregation. That's horrible. But it's just like, but when we do stuff like this, we're already segregated, right? Because you're already telling one group of people, like, hey, these rules apply to you sometimes, not really though. It's mainly us. And it's just like, what do you do with that, right? Like what do you do when you're told, oh yeah, everything's fair, and it's just because you won't let racism go that things aren't working out for you. But then it's like, but like, this didn't happen to me though, or like, this is happening right now in lifetime and no one's doing anything about it. And this was, it's just like, huh? It's just like, how can racism be dead when I'm experiencing it right now in lifetime? Like, that doesn't make sense, But some people think that black people are just that stupid, and I hate to put it that way, but that's really what I believe. Some people just think black people aren't sophisticated and smart enough to understand that that they're playing possum. They're like, oh, this isn't racism, when secretly that they're like, actually it was racism. I just hope that they weren't smart to catch it. But anyway, I if you're really interested in this case, I recommend you go check out Nate the Lawyer's videos on the topic, lead attorney's videos. You make the kind of make the choice make the decision yourself as to what you think is really going on. Me personally, I do think Nate the Lawyer's cooning out. I think that he's just tap dancing because of his overly conservative white audience that always wants black people to be guilty of something to justify how they're treated. And I fully believe Brandon Tatum's the same way. I haven't seen too many Brandon Tatum videos, but I have seen enough. I mean, I lightly follow him on YouTube, but yeah, as I say, make the decision for yourself. This is one of those things where I'm on the fence. I'm not really going to charge the system with too much racism in this situation. I do believe that the cops overstepped their boundaries, and the cops really went extra hard on him probably because he was a young black man. But I'm not going to sit here and say that it was 100% unjustified and unprovoked, right? Because that's the thing. Like he did provoke them into wanting somebody to put their hands on him to an extent, right? Like the officer still could have chose restraint. I mean, it wasn't enough to where it was just like, nope, see, it's go time. It's like, nah, man. Like y'all could have just treated him, been like, hey, listen, you're gonna get out of the car, right? You're gonna get out of the car, whether you like it or not. Handcuffs, whether you like it or not. How do you want to do this, right? They could have easily have done that. It didn't have to be a okay, go, crack the window open, smack him across the face, open the door, unhook his seatbelt, then pull him out George Floyd style, right? And then sit there and just pretend to beat him and punch him in the face. It's like, nah, man, that he was not giving you that level of resistance, right? And George Floyd was the same way. It's like the level of violence used to try to subdue George Floyd was unjustified because he was not fighting like that. But again, they got the body cam of the George Floyd incident. We got the body cam of this incident. And when black people and white people look at it, we just see two different incidences, despite the fact that the incidences are, on the same footage. It's not, one thing over another. It's not one thing over another. It's just, how one views it, right? Like you can still view something that's true and still be wrong about it. But anyway, but kind of just make the decision for yourself. That's what I had to say about it. I think this video's went on long enough, and I've rambled on long enough. I probably shouldn't have made this video since I'm tired, but